Welcome back, subscribers. This is Johnny Hopper here with my buddy Coach Rob Beams and my kind of sort of friend Cooksey.
Guys that just showed up.
So in today's video we're going to go over some predictions with the 450s. Starts now. All right, since last time we let big man Cooksey go first, we're going to let Rob go first. And we could talk for hours, so we're just going to keep it simple with top three. I know it's going to be damn near impossible because the field is there's such a good depth this year. So, Rob, your top three.
Right off the bat, I have to go with AC.
For number one, of course.
For number one.
Man, you're going to get so much crap. We got a listener on our regular podcast, David Hilton, and every time he's like, Rob loves AC. What's his deal? What's his man crush on AC?
Yeah. You know, in all fairness to him, I just am impressed the way AC this year, you look at kind of the way that Loretta started, getting the feet pulled off Superman and over the finish line, and then each race, back to back.
He does kind of take himself out front.
He does.
It's the Stewart effect.
But I think if we look at just this last abbreviated season, if you look at that first round to the last one, the maturity that he showed in the premier class, I know there could be some people that will say Webb wasn't in, Roxon wasn't in, and I understand that. I do think taking a line from Lance Armstrong, momentum has changed zip codes with AC.
I thought that was Wigan.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Yeah. We'll give credit where credit is due, right? Good point. But, yeah, I think AC has shown his maturity this last, both in Supercross and outdoors. I still have to give him credit going back and interviewing with Daniel Blair when he, after Vegas. To me, that was like, as you were saying off the air, Johnny, the mental maturity. He's been through so much adversity with injuries and those type of disappointments. I think that's going to polish him for this upcoming season.
He did lead 37 laps last year, just to point out. I
think he's worked out that learning curve. He showed it throughout the entire outdoor series. I think that's going to come right into the Supercross with momentum. Number two, I have to go with his training buddy, Mr. Chase Sexton. I think under the tutelage of James Stewart, you can't go wrong with the legend. The fact that they train together, they've got a lot of similarities.
Speaking, can I jump in on that?
Absolutely.
With James Stewart. So, did you see what he did at Paula? Everyone missed it on the broadcast. Sexton, yeah, because he's with Stewart. There was that little step up before he headed towards the back. He was hopping over the lip. Mm-hmm. So James Stewart-esque. It was beautiful. I was like, wait, that is so perfect that the guy that Stewart's training jumps the lip. It was beautiful. That's where he passed the lead.
I'm interjecting here just a little bit. Who was your number one pick?
Oh, I have to go now?
No.
I'm kidding. Eli Tomac. The defending champion's going to win again. Why do you don't look at me like that, Johnny? I know you're a Tomac hater.
No, I'm not a Tomac hater. We're both from Colorado.
Did we not see how badass that guy looked towards the end of the outdoor season when he was focused? So I believe he took the summer off, relaxed. I don't know. He didn't take the races serious.
But he still had to show up and go. And racing is super mental. And once you start kind of getting your butt kicked, if you don't show up, it's going to, I think, adversely affect you. And yeah, he was able to show up and make it apparent that he can still win motos.
That was enough to light the fire. Had he gone out and won, maybe he lays it up. But
I think this is a little slim little lantern with Tomac. I'm just saying.
Dude,
I think.
I also think he's going to race about another 4 or 5 years.
What?
Everyone says he's going to retire. What's he going to do? Go to the ranch and shoot bow and arrows? Like, the dude actually really likes racing.
I think he likes to go racing when he wins. He doesn't like to go racing when
like
he doesn't
anybody.
win.
He said he'll race as long as he can contend for wins, which for me is 4 to 5 more years.
No way.
I mean, if you're going to do the Chad Reed thing and you're going to be top
okay
10,
with that, yeah.
And I'm going to go with Rob on this one with AC for the win for the season.
No, I think AC very well could. And he's never won, but if he gets one win,
he's definitely, at least last year, he was the fastest rider. I mean, consistently. I believe he was almost every time he showed up for qualifying, he was the fastest. So if he can just tone it down a little bit to go the distance of 20 laps or more, however it divides into the total 20-minute deal, I think we literally can see him on top step of the podium at the end of the year. I mean, he was showing it in the motocross, and he can see like, hey, this is going to work for me if I can keep it on 2 wheels. So I'm with you. I think he's mentally strong. This is he's a couple years into the 450 class now. He's my dude. He's my dude for the win.
Consistency, I think, is the key word that you put in there, and I think that's what we saw a lot of last year. He worked out the full series, which, as we know, going from 250 partial series Supercross to full series, there's not a 450 rider out there that hasn't discussed how difficult that transition really is. He showed that he could go the distance. He corrected his mistakes quite quickly and early. As I say, the stats don't lie. I think he's going to be pretty tough.
And there's so much you could go here with Roxon, with Webb,
yeah.
with Marvin. I mean, there's so many guys.
Osborne, Anderson.
It's hard to do a
There's
top.
so many good riders.
To do a top 3. So we want to know what your top for the winner is for 2021 Supercross. Comment down below. Let us know. Back to you, Rob. I know I was kind of letting you. I cut you off. I know you said Sexton for your second. Why?
Well, when you look at Chase, obviously he's got the James Stewart as a mentor. I think that's phenomenal. James is compound.
He does ride that 450 better than the 250.
I think he's done that since day one. We all commented on that. He's got the longer legs. If we could get back to some real Supercross tracks that have whoops that separate the men from the boys.
He did win 5 of the 8 races.
Yeah.
In the 250s last year too.
You got those long legs. We get some tracks that get rough, some big whoops. Again, James Stewart was very, very good in the whoops, so the gnarlier they get, I think the better and more polished you're going to see Chase be. I like that Chase and Adam ride together because we've talked about this off the record a lot. When they train together, they know kind of how to manage one another. So, if I'm not training with you and you get the whole shot, it can get in my head that you're gone.
Do you think that's going to change? If the season progresses and we're now 7 races in and they're battling for a championship?
No, I don't see it.
I disagree.
No,
if we're heading into the last stretch of 4 rounds, and it's
they might show up on Monday and this guy practices on Tuesday, kind of a thing. If they're
I don't know why you would practice with him at that point.
Well, because
you're trying to beat him. I'm with.
Yeah,
I'm
but the idea is when you and I are working together and we've separated ourselves from the men from everybody else. You've got kind of that momentum in that environment. And yes, it's going to come down to who nails the start. It's who can nail, 20 consistent laps. It's not about whether we're training together or not. It's can I out-execute you?
I'm talking about just the last few weeks. I'm not talking about in general, and I'm not saying they'll stop training together.
No, I understand.
But if it's coming down the last couple rounds,
don't
expect me to show up at the same time as Adam. Like, I'm not raced. Like, if I'm Sexton, I'm not showing him what I have. Or, as Rick Johnson said, he would try to run over Bailey's foot if that was the case.
But they weren't training together every day.
True.
But when these guys, because they both
realize,
it's
an opportunity.
Well, when they get on the starting gate, they realize the one who's going to win is the guy that makes the least amount of mistakes, and who I train with during the week has no bearing on that. It'd be one thing if we didn't train together and then we are in a points race in the last couple of weeks we decide we're going to train together. Now you've changed your environment. These guys are creatures of habit.
I don't agree with that. And honestly, if I was one of those 2 guys, I'm sorry, but I'm kind of a dick. And towards the end, if it's me and Johnny and we're training together, I'm gonna mess with Johnny, and I want to make sure Johnny knows I'm the alpha at that point. Well, I'm gonna show him tomorrow at the track.
I'm gonna lock you out of the track. I'm gonna pay it.
I'm gonna water. I'm gonna do things. I want to get in your head, and if I can get in your head in practice, I will.
Dude, I'm gonna get your mechanic on my side. He's gonna maybe this. You like air pressure 12. I'll put it to 9.
When Johnny's riding, he comes back. I'll be making sure I'm talking and standing too close to Paige.
There you go. Get underneath the skin.
Oh, definitely. I'm going to do all
do some Instagram.
But that's just what you like.
You're not that pretty, so I'm not worried.
You're not wrong.
Well, but let's think about it.
Well, I mean, there's that opportunity there to get in somebody's head and kind of be a dick.
Then how do you explain the Baker's Factory formula?
You don't think there was tension there? And they
everyone leaves.
But
everyone leaves.
No.
Nobody.
I understand, but they leave for different reasons, which we know the reasons why. But what I'm saying is, in regards to holding that accountability level up, that idea that we've been razor sharp as a team, a collective. We hold each other accountable. We're able to train on pace. We're able to train consistently.
But then on weekend, it's not a team.
I agree with you.
No, not at all.
I agree with you, unless it's broken away and it's clear cut.
A points.
Yes, those two.
All right. Segwayne, your second pick.
The guy in a what have you done lately sport that we've kind of overlooked is the champion 2 years ago, Cooper Webb.
Webb takes the checkers here.
This dude's tough as nails. It doesn't matter what you put in front of him. He loves Supercross, and he's going to battle for that title. He's watching all of us pick AC and Tomac, and he's going, yeah, we'll see. I'll show you guys.
Yep.
And he will. That's just what he does. He's a gamer.
He kind of is sort of taken over the whole Diesel thing from Dungey as far as being consistent. He's not the most fun to watch because he's never the fastest. But I do have to say, last year he was.
I love watching his racecraft. I don't know what you're talking about, John.
Okay, dude. Again, you're making me eat my words because.
Here they come into the woods. Webb trying to get inside. Oh, contact to the line. It's Webb. Cooper Webb beats him to the line.
Yeah, some of his things where he'll all of a sudden jump one of the quads on the track that nobody else was doing, and then getting ready to pass Roxon, he's just gonna I'm gonna brake, and then I'm gonna pivot, and then I'm gonna take your ass out, or just cut this corner to win. Like it's been pretty fun to watch. So
the way he can raise his game when someone catches him is, and his mental toughness. He'll break these guys. Like he literally.
See, that's a guy that you need training with AC in them, because then he could be the dude that could be standing too close to Paige and everything, and then I might be getting nervous over here. So.
Well, and to your point with Cooper, he's such a good chess player. He really adheres to that adage that champions manage their championship on their bad days, which others don't seem to do as well. He's definitely, as you say, he's kind of taken that role and the responsibility. If we're going to put that title on somebody, Coop would definitely get it. The big key is, I hate to say this because I don't wish any ill will, but unfortunately when we see injuries, they start to add up. All we got to do is look at somebody like Marv, has the speed, one nagging knee injury, then another one. Yeah, you got Coop. He landed on his back last year. Can he shake that off? Hopefully he's at 100% coming back.
Yeah, I don't think any of his injuries have been as catastrophic as somebody like a Roxon.
Roxon, no.
Where that stuff, everyone is speculating, Epstein-Barr, altitude sickness. Has there been enough time off for him to get over? I know he was getting a baby, so obviously his mental game, he's going to be ready to come back. It's interesting that none of you guys have Roxon in 1 or 2.
But if he came in and won, I wouldn't be shocked.
No, of course not.
I mean, none of us will. That's why it's so difficult to do this top 3.
That's what makes it fun.
My second is going to be, what is, Zach Osborne. I was trying to come up with
Are you going to go
Aussie.
Snack Pack?
Yeah, it was maybe something.
Don't call him Snack Pack.
I mean,
that was Pingree. That was not me.
He is smaller, but he's I guess
diminutive?
he's the sugar-free snack pack now. All natural.
Vegan?
Vegan, yeah.
I don't think he's vegan.
Plant-based snack pack. Dude, coming off of the motocross, I just think the dude's got confidence. I think he's kind of the leader at the Baker's factory. So the program's working. He kind of sees himself as the leader. So as a rider, mentally, if you see yourself as a leader, you see yourself as a winner. And he did it in the motocross. So he sees himself as winning and being able to hold and see it through fruition. So in the Supercross, I expect him to come out and be like, hey, I'm top 3 first round. And then after that, we're going to get on a ball rolling. And I'm going to be there, one of the definitely guys to beat. And I want to be champion at the end of the year. But I don't think he's going to get it done just because of sheer speed. If somebody like AC can put it all together, I think that's somebody that's
well, and what I look for him is the same thing that happened to Tomac after winning that Supercross title. He put so much into winning this outdoor title. This isn't your regular off season where you really get to go rest.
Yeah,
is he gonna be at his peak, or is he gonna have that letdown, that championship letdown you have?
I mean, he finished 6th last year, and Did he even?
He won at the end, but he had some. He was sick. Remember, he was really sick.
Yeah,
with,
he
I
led
think
48
COVID.
laps.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this, though. You bring up a good point. Does he really think he's the leader at the Baker's factory? Yes, he's coming off of an outdoor title, but he's going into a Supercross season with the defending champion at the same facility. He's got
champion
him on
2 years ago.
Cooper.
Yeah, 2
Yeah.
years ago.
Yeah.
So you're looking at that.
Tomac won last year.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but in regards to you're going into a playground that, for all intents and purposes, Webb's won it once. As you just said, I believe Webb finished ahead of him, or would have had he not tapped out. I guess when he hurt his back, where was Webb in the points in relationship to?
I still think that he thinks he's the.
You think so? I mean, he's got the years.
Because he was there
He's got
throughout
years.
the whole motocross where Webb was out. So just by being there, like you act like you're the senior there.
Yeah.
You've been there longer.
But
so
can you see Coop accepting that? I don't. I see Coop coming in
and
saying.
again, this is the same thing that we just got done arguing
I
about
agree.
as far as these guys maybe shouldn't be training at such an elite level. Like, oh, everything is rainbows and
Yeah. And we know it's not.
It's not.
Yeah, we know it's not.
So segueing into your third.
Yeah, the third, I have to go with Cooper Webb. I think when you look at where Cooper's at, like you said, there's a lot of momentum because he's been there and done it before. We all know once you win that first one, I'm
a
not gonna say
win
they
in a
become
second
easier.
is pretty consistent.
That's pretty consistent. Going back to just what we were talking about, I think he's got something to prove amongst his training facility. Who's going to be top dog? Who's going to be able to make that declaration? Going on the same thread of thought with AC and Sexton riding together, that's a good environment to push everybody up to that next level, knowing that you're not coming in. Let's face it, nobody in the Baker's factory is coming in holding the number one plate where they've had it in the past. So everybody wants to be that new guy, or in Cooper's, bring it back. So there's a lot of energy that's going to be there for Coop. I think he's definitely didn't enjoy sitting out the outdoors. We know he loves to race. We know he doesn't like downtime, and we know he's not been wasting it. That's for sure. So I think he's going to be really,
He
really
might
tough.
be the guy that's most prepared.
He's going to be
for
most rested.
Supercross.
I think that's fair to say.
Yeah.
Maybe
Between
Roxon,
him
of
and
course.
yeah. But I think he's going to be more prepared than Roxon.
Well, that goes without saying, in my opinion.
Third.
I'm going to go with Chase Sexton because kind of the same thing you guys have just talked about. So him and AC are raising their level. Now, I believe there's been so much success from the Baker factory, not because of the program. Sorry, Alden. But the fact that they get to ride with each other on a daily basis and raise each other's levels. There's no days off. The same thing where I talked about guys want to be better than Freezy and they ride together, and that's what has raised the level at the Baker factory. And with AC and Sexton, and then Sexton, just that technique is pretty, man. I mean, is there a more technically sound rider?
He rides the 450 better than the 250, and he was a damn good 250 rider.
And let's be honest, that Honda wasn't as fast.
And he's young. I definitely think he's
young,
taking over the
strong.
reins as far as being the strongest guy at Honda, which is going to be hard for Kenny to see because he's probably already being consistently beat at the test track by this guy. And then if you start getting beat on the weekends by this guy, it goes without saying that you're kind of already giving up the reins.
Sexton already believes he's the top guy, and he might be. And he's just not a guy that's going to back down. Remember what he did to R.J. Hampshire at Dallas, I believe? Just put him on the ground. He's like, you hit me, I hit you. Like, he's just not scared, and he's not apologetic about it. He's there to win. That's it.
But see, that's where the consistency comes into play. And I don't think he's on the same consistency as somebody like an Osborne.
Sure, fair enough.
That's where I think where you were saying earlier about AC and Sexton not playing together in the sandbox. I definitely don't see Roxon and Sexton playing in the same sandbox. I don't find it ironic that Sexton ended up at James's an hour south off of US 27 in Central Florida, because I don't think it took very long for there to recognize that there's been a paradigm shift of power, and that's not going to go over very well. I think it was a very convenient.
Okay, so it's already happened.
It's already happened.
It's already happened. My guy is going to be the Frenchman, the rookie.
Ooh,
Ferrandis.
on the Yamaha.
On the Yamaha.
How dare you, Johnny?
Dude, I have
you
a feeling.
hypocrite. You talk so much garbage on my Yamaha.
I know,
And now you come back, and he's going to get there on this pig that he rides?
but now
Fat pig.
Fat pig?
now it's going to be Monster Energy Star Racing. It isn't going to be this bloated, inflated POS that Barsha was riding.
Barsha won on it?
This is now we're talking about a Frenchman.
2 openers in a row. It's not the bike.
Snotty little bastard.
I'm
Hold on.
I'm just saying.
Hold on. If Barsha's so good and the Yamaha held him back so bad, why isn't he in your top 3?
Because it's hard to make this top 3 because there's so many good riders this year.
But
you know?
you're so high on that. If that Yamaha was so bad, he should at least improve. And what was he, 4th last year?
I just am saying the level caliber of Dylan. We saw it happen to him in the 250 class, pretty much owned. All right, was obviously the fastest guy. His lap times. Sitting here with my
even the camera, I don't know if you can edit that out, but the camera shut down. His pick was so outrageous, it actually blacked out the camera, Johnny.
Yeah, because it was mad at me because of me being a hypocrite. I'm just saying, I think Dylan could make it happen. I'm just thinking, him and his David Villeman.
Hey, what? Are you serious? Villeman is awesome. I love him. He says whatever's on his mind. You will never not know where you stand with David Villeman.
Why people are considered
the same reason people don't like us.
Man, I'm sitting here. The camera's gonna shut off again.
Oh.
All right, small little break. Camera kept not liking what I was saying about.
Camera's not the only one.
But I'm back here with Cooksey and the coach. And Rob, who is your biggest disappointment for 2021?
Hey, Gilmore, you suck. Jackass. Why don't you shut the hell up?
You know, going into the season, I don't want to kick somebody when they're down, but it's the whole Ken Roczen situation. I think it's disappointing to the fans and to the sport as a whole. Not any fault of his own. We saw the nature of the accident. We've seen how hard he's worked to come back. The challenge is how many more times can he go to the well just to get healthy again, not even go out and really bang bars with some of the best in the world. And I think that's disappointing because you think back to when Roczen was riding for Suzuki with RCH, you know, it was just so fast and so dominant, had a great outdoor season. Sands, the one fork that decided to give up. We thought that's going to be somebody that's going to really have an indelible imprint on the sport, and we just honestly haven't seen it since.
It's
very disappointing.
Yeah, I don't.
But he could make something of this. I mean, he's already had the comeback story.
Yeah.
With some of his wins.
But that goes back to what you said earlier. I find it hard to take on the title, if I may, that the reason why he's off his mark a little bit is Epstein-Barr, and then he gets lapped, let's call it weekend number 4, and then the next weekend catches and drops the person who won the previous week. That's not how Epstein-Barr works. So it's another level of disappointment for me. We've talked about this on the air, off the air a lot. It's frustrating because there's not a lot of transparency in the sport. And I think, not that we're entitled to this type of information, but it creates a lot of speculation that never seems to really get answered.
Without his injury, do you think he's been Supercross champ before, multi-champ?
I do, 100%.
He wins the year Dungey retired if he doesn't have the injury. He won the first 2 rounds.
Just one? You don't think he's multi-champ?
I don't know. He might. I don't know. I can't commit to multi. He's not consistent enough in Supercross.
Well, we're saying that now, but that's not the Kenny we saw initially. When
I believe that was the Kenny we saw initially, because when he was on RCH, remember the big get-off? Mm-hmm. He won a couple races with KTM. He won Anaheim. It's not a new thing. The Honda was supposed to fix that, and it looked like it was going to, and then he had the big one, and it changed everything.
Well, he's kind of always sort of his start even with Supercross. Because, over in Europe, they don't do a whole lot like they do here. So whenever these guys transition over here, they tend to have a little bit of a hard time, as Kenny did for his first year as a rookie. He kept having some crashes as well, and before he even started winning on that 250. But, yeah, that it's sad. Is more than anything that's kind of a sad one that touches everybody, because he's such a lovable guy that you want to see succeed.
He's everything you want in a marketing tool. He's good looking, he's personable, he wears a suit. That's Ken Roxon. I mean, show me an agent that doesn't want that out of his client.
Well, and look at the outside of the sports sponsors he does have.
Yeah.
Little man crush on?
A little bit, yeah. Yeah, a little bit. I do have a funny story about him. If you want to hear, I have seen everything on Ken Roxon. when he came out to Mesquite to ride.
Now I'm going to have to make this video
warning
adult
parents.
songs
appropriate.
No.
Yeah.
I'm riding at Mesquite one day, and it's right after his injury. He hadn't ridden. Those that don't know, he has family in St. George, a few minutes from Mesquite. A Honda shows up, number 94. I think it's my buddy. Oh, okay, yeah, okay, hey, there he is. Oh, there's Dakota. I come around, I look, and I see a naked man, completely naked, in the back of a truck. This is at the track. There's no awning, no nothing. Standing
this
in a
was
lifted
before injury?
After injury. Lifted truck, standing full Monty in the back of the truck. I look, I'm like, oh, that's not Dakota. That's Ken Roxon. What the? Yeah, so.
Please don't encourage them. Come on.
Move!
They may look cute and innocent, but they're nothing but a beehive for germs and bacteria. And remember the slides I showed you?
Jimmy!
They have things.
You smell like a winner! You smell like a...
Yep. So there you go. There's my Ken Roxon naked story.
I mean, does he have much metal in his arms from?
Does he have any arm with the metal?
Yeah,
That's more like it. It's so much metal.
Yeah.
It's like
Okay.
bionic,
I was just
yeah.
kind of going with
Yeah.
a segue there, like maybe other parts of him are more
bionic Ken.
more. I'm trying to have like a
Some
brass ball.
things you just can't unsee.
But it's not good. All right, your disappointment. Segue.
Well, this one's tough because I really like this guy. He's so talented. Other than Eli Tomac, there's not a rider that's up and down more than Blake Baggett. The guy won Glendale a couple of years ago. Then,
Do you think him not being paid yet is kind of if those rumors are even true, does that
was
hurt
Johnny.
his Supercross season?
well,
I mean,
yeah.
okay, so I guess maybe
so if a guy doesn't get paid, he's probably not showing up. With that said, I worry about Blake Baggett.
So is he going to show up? Is the thing. If he doesn't show up, does that kind of justify the whole rumor mill of potentially, hey, maybe this rider wasn't paid?
Well, yeah, if he doesn't show up, that's probably a good idea.
Okay, so that pretty much infers what we're.
I don't
what
know
I'm
that.
saying.
I didn't say that.
I don't know that either. I'm just speculating.
Yeah, so I heard
why,
that. Yeah.
That's
But-
why we come here.
And then also he put his place up for sale. That was pretty well knowledge. And then it was told it was like a prank, but I believe that thing's really for sale, which tells me he's on his last year. If you're selling that beautiful facility, that's probably his last year, And his wrist, people don't know about his wrist. The one he broke in the 250 class, that thing is deteriorated. And every time he talks about his hand or his wrist, it's numb. There's some sort of scar tissue, nerve damage that's not getting better. And I don't see it getting better in 1 year. So
How old is he now?
I think he's close to 30.
Yeah, I had him at 29.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's close to
Give or
30,
take.
but
A
in
lot of
injury
these guys
years. Now, I fully believe athletes are competitive into their mid-30s, minus an injury like that that is deteriorated.
Not in Supercross. You're not the lucky guy of like Dungey that walks away. Even though he did break his neck, most of these guys have some sort of catastrophic injury before they're 30.
Yeah, unfortunately, due to that wrist, I'm going to go with Blake Baggett as my disappointment. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope he proves me wrong and gets up there and does what he can do. But that wrist, it worries me. The hand going numb.
Dude, I love the bald eagle. It's a bummer if he doesn't show up. And that's definitely one of the riders that I have. We all know that he has the speed to win.
Yes.
And could do it multiple times. And it's kind of a bummer that he hasn't won more than what he has.
I wish he'd been on the podium more because there's not a more fun guy in a press conference. Him and AC in a press conference, that's like a stand-up routine. It's really good.
He's actually a pretty quiet guy.
Baggett?
Yeah,
Dude, he's got some one-liners and that dry sense of humor.
It's
Every
definitely
press
dry.
conference,
Definitely dry.
he's not scared. He's messing with people. Remember, he was on the podium with Anderson and Marvin after they had their incidents, and he was just needling both of them, almost trying to get them to fight. It was hilarious.
To me, he just seems like kind of a guy that is.
No, he could come right in here and bust balls with us, no problem.
Okay. All right. we'll leave it up to Chris. My disappointment is going to be Tomac. I just think that he's not going to last 5 years. I think he's on his way out. I know I kind of said it last year. Did I say it last year? I said it for the motocross stuff, and I was kind of right about the motocross.
You were kind of right.
So he just put his green fancy GT38 745 car up for sale, you know, whopping $7,000 off. You know, if you guys saw my last video, same thing with Baggett selling his place. Why would you be selling this stuff? I know you got a family, but you know, you're obviously looking for an exit strategy.
What was the price on that car?
$220 is what he wanted for it.
Maybe,
MSRP was $227.
Maybe he could send it to Savachi?
You think Savachi has enough money to buy that car?
No, I think he should just give it to him for what he owes him.
Oh, yeah, okay, I'm following now. Oh, yeah.
So he's wasting all this money that he won that Savachi gave him yet.
Yeah, but I don't think Tomac
But
would do
remember,
that.
you're not allowed to gift anything.
I think
He needs a new CPA,
against the
by
law.
the way. Yeah,
during
it's
that
against the
whole
law.
thing, I think he only gave his mechanic like a $10,000 bonus after winning the $1 million. Like, woohoo!
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
I'm
but
going to give you a
I
1%.
I did do an interview with him after that, and I asked him about, it's on Cooksey to Coach, if you go in the archives. I asked him about Savachi, and it was very telling. I was disappointed. I was surprised that it went that route. As I picked Tomac to win the title and back it up, I'm a fan, but that was not a good look.
Hopefully we see Savachi racing this year.
As I say, somewhere.
All right.
That's tough.
Not looking good.
Segue in. Biggest surprise of 2021.
This is a selfish surprise. I'm hoping the surprise is Star Yamaha turning the 450 program around.
That's a good one.
Because as we sit here, you know, we're a couple months ahead of the opening round. When we get to the end of May, big middle of June, we're going to have two narratives. It's either going to be A, Midas Touch has once again prevailed and the 450 program has broken through all the barriers and everything's been fixed and it's competitive in all environments and et cetera, or it's going to be validated that nothing can fix the Yamaha. So it's an incredible...
Nothing's wrong with the Yamaha.
No, but to your point though, there's, like you say, the inconsistencies of results. Barsha showed you can
Maybe
win
for
on
the
it.
average guy, but if you can twist the throttle past quarter, there's obviously been something wrong with it.
Well, but we go back to the
It's won
conversation of you have a Cooper Webb 250 champion, 450 turd. Plessinger 250 champion, 450 turd.
I've heard rumors that they, as soon as the track is kind of a little bit slippery, it's like
It goes away.
It's all over.
Yeah.
You know, that the Yamaha just.
But yet I find it interesting that Barsh has gone from a completely stock bike to a bike built from the ground up to whatever it ended up,
Maybe
germinating to.
Barsha just likes to
Well,
piss him on.
But in that same thread of thought, Plessinger can't make it work. Cooper couldn't make it work. Barsha couldn't make it work. If Star Yamaha turns it around, they are. I mean, you have to give that team the utmost respect. They're willing to take on a monster that essentially nobody else has wanted to touch. Whether it was, hey, Yamaha 450 says Keith McCarty's gone. There's a lot of turnover there. Maybe it's an executive decision from the top down, or is it the top down brass said, look, these guys seem to have a program that nobody else seems to be able to match. We're going to get rid of Keith McCarty. Guys who have Keith McCarty, who held out the board, let Brock by, is no longer with
Spelled it
Yamaha.
wrong.
Don't you love it? Is not even with Yamaha anymore. Those top guys are gone. What is all that telling us? You know, we've seen the 450 program be in its own rig. Then it went into JGR. Then they
I'd
went
love
back to
to
its
see
own rig.
Star Racing, because then, Dylan would be on the podium.
And that's going to be the amazing part. To see what will the surprise, because the surprise is going to be polished turd, it's still a turd, or we fixed what was broken and those up people are going to be like, oh my gosh, they were able to do something.
And it'll just be ironic that Barsha left. It's almost like selling your stock at all-time highs.
Yep.
Or right before it explodes. Like it'd be ironic.
And it will be
would suck
interesting
for Barsha.
on Barsha's note, if all of a sudden Barsha could do exactly what Webb did when he went to KTM, showed it wasn't the bike, it was a program.
That is a particular point. There is going to be a graph with one of these teams.
Absolutely.
With something happen.
To me, that's going to be a surprise. Is it going to be on gas? Is it going to be on Yamaha? One's going up, one's... No, sure. We could look back on this video and say they maybe kept on par with one another, but I don't see that happening.
Chris,
Biggest surprise. I'm going to go with Shane McElrath. Now, here's a guy who looked like a Cub Scout leader, shaved his head, started going faster. Now he looks like an absolute badass Bruce Willis diehard with MCR. There's a guy that's going to get up there. He's going to get in the mix. He's going to beat a lot of dudes. He's going to beat Barsha. He's going to beat a lot of guys they don't expect him to beat. He might even be challenging with these HRC guys, and that'll be interesting because we all know
he definitely wants to.
Is he going to get anything like Brayton did when he was over there, where he got some of the special HRC parts that the other guys didn't?
Well, once he starts beating him, he probably will, but not that I know of.
Not out of the blocks.
But man, I just think he's too good a guy, and with that program, I just really think I could see him getting podiums.
That's the interesting thing that a lot of viewers don't understand is that these teams, they could say, hey, AC and Tomac, you're going to get a little bit better parts on your bike, and AC, you're going to get a little bit of the not so good parts. I mean, that is an interesting topic, and McElrath has always been sort of the underdog. I mean, he's never really been the talk of somebody that could win championships. Even in the 250s, he was always the dude that was winning races, but nobody really thought him to be there at the end. I mean, it's just been kind of silly. And even in the motocross, he was there, and then he wasn't there, and then he was there.
Well, that's what I was just going to ask. You know, he's on the Star Yamaha that we know what it's capable of. Got the whole shot.
It was obviously the best bike in the 250 class. So
absolutely. But he didn't stay up front when he got out front. And yet he's going to
another. But that was motocross.
But he's going to another color, and he's going. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it would be a heck of a surprise if he's able to clean and reverse up. Excuse me, if he could clean up and reverse what he did outdoors, taking that to Supercross on another bike that's not a full factory Honda. If he does, that would be an incredible, as you call it, a big surprise.
He is more of a Supercross rider than a motocross rider. So I like both yours. Mine is sort of, I would say I'm kind of in the middle for both
Johnny.
of them.
Oh, I'm worried. I'm worried.
It's back with that Star Racing Yamaha. It's Malcolm Stewart. I think he's going to be the biggest surprise.
How is that a surprise?
As far as he's going to win races. This is a guy that's been in the 450 class for how long? And
you just picked a guy to win races, but he won't even be in your top 3?
Yes, I'm just going to flat out there.
Okay.
I think it's going to be a surprise.
Just curious.
He's going to be up there. I think it's going to be good for the team and a surprise because this is somebody that had the speed to do it on the Smart Top team, and we've seen him get close, but he hasn't officially done it.
I'd have to research.
I'm just going with biggest surprise as far as we're looking at. I mean, because you can't say it's a surprise if Roxon wins. You can't say it's a surprise if Eli wins. I mean, pretty much anyone else than the guys that are expected to, it's going to be a surprise. And it's going to be a surprise if that team does really well. And I already used my Dylan Ferrandis deal for top 3, so can't have that as a surprise. So what's my next? Stewart for a surprise. I honestly thought it was a surprise when I saw that he even signed with that team. Because now, do I think Smart Top is kind of still sort of a factory team? Absolutely. Do I think Star Racing Yamaha is more of a full-fledged factory team? Yes. I think it's going to be better equipment for him.
I feel like Johnny's got 5 guys in his top 3.
Yeah, there you go.
Dude, this list took me forever, and this is only top 3.
I know, but can you imagine?
I'm picking a guy that could be 10th, and I'm saying he's going to be 3rd. So
easily a guy could be 12th or 3rd. Like McElrath could easily be 12th.
That's why even though the season sucks with having 3 races at multiple venues,
momentum is going to be
at the
so
same
crucial.
venues. That could potentially make it not as much fun to watch, but the level of riders is going to make it more fun to watch. And even with that, Webb even went out and said that he liked having racing on a Saturday and then a Wednesday because it said that I had less time on the bike. And if I'm going to risk basically my life, I'd rather do it for something that matters. Yeah, get paid. So I think it's good for these guys, and I like the schedule.
You just brought up something I didn't even think about. Is Malcolm going to train at Ricky Carmichael's place, Star Yamaha's? I've heard they're not buying it, they're leasing it now. But is Malcolm going to be in Tallahassee, which is about 5.5, 6 hours north of Haines City, where AC and Sexton will be training with James? And if you get those three chaining together, you've got Malcolm who can latch onto that speed, shake down that Yamaha.
Yeah, because he's welcome there. I mean,
yeah, exactly. You're talking about, but you're talking about
his name is.
If you want to know,
of course,
because Malcolm has been riding Supercross. But if you want to know if you're on pace, because what's the $1 million question? You could be flying at the test track, as they always tease, and show up and get waxed and realize you're off the pace by half a second. He's going to go to two of the most prominent guys that had good Supercross seasons and be able to latch right on and size up. It would be interesting to see. And if we know anything about the Stewart family, they tend to walk to their own beat. James was the first guy not to stay at JGR's location. James was the first guy to do a lot of things uniquely. And I don't see that, James's dad, James Sr., is going to let that be too much of it. But I don't know. It's a couple of years later. We'll see what happens. So
it's interesting.
That's another point.
So I've got Cooksey and the coach with me. And I want to know what you guys think as far as who your top 3 is, who your biggest disappointment is, and who your biggest surprise is. Let us know. And go check out their podcast. And maybe, buy some EBC brakes. He's going to get the rotor. That was the rotor. We could continue to talk, but we need to move on. About some other stuff. So, until next time, this is Johnny Hopper and Cooksey and the coach.
Are you gonna make it sound like a Yamaha?
A weed whacker?
Yeah, let's hear your Yamaha.
Bee, 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 bee. Do you hear it? It's like it's going farther away. Bee, like it's finally getting past enough.
Johnny.
You guys are no fun.
No, you're never getting a Yamaha deal for your show.